Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point. Okay, welcome into another duly noted podcast, of course, always presented by Titan MRI from the Shaq Allen Mercandani Studios. My producer, I'm calling him Freddie DeCordova now. I don't know, he's going to have to look it up, who Freddie DeCordova was back in the old days. He was Johnny Carson's producer. But Evan, actually, yeah. So he's looking it up on Google. But he was a legend. But as are you a legend?
I want to be Stanley Kubrick, though.
You want to be Stanley Kubrick?
Yeah,
Okay. All right.
Really want to be.
So we'll just call you Stanley? That's not going to go over well. Stanley. Anyway, we got a lot to talk about, even though it's a bye week. It's a bye week, but it's not a bye week for us. We come to you and we talk to you. We got a great guest today. Actually, it's a little bit of a surprise. Andy Staples was going to be on the show, and Andy said, "Hey, I'm out there near the school, near you, because I'm going to pick my kids up at school. Why not come in the studio?" So he'll be at Spurrier's to do the show at about 2:15. So looking forward to that from The Athletic, of course. Also from Sirius XM, does radio. Listen to him a lot on the way into to work. What do you mean way into work? I don't have a job. No, on the way around town to go do things that I have to do. Anyway, I'm in a weird mood, and I think it's because it's a bye week. I've really got the whole weekend off. Like after this, the whole weekend is completely off. And the sad thing is many of you know who've looked at it, it's a bad football schedule this week, and this is part of the reason why I want more teams in the SEC to go to 16, not only with Texas and Oklahoma, and then you're going to have fewer bad weeks. Go to the 9-game conference schedule, the fewer bad weeks. I think it's just not a good week. You look at it. The 3:30 window is really good. Could be really interesting, but before I was thinking I may tell my wife, honey, I've seen enough football this year. Why don't you and I go for a picnic from 12 to 3:30? And at 3:30 we got to be home because there's games on. You think that'd work? Maybe not, but it might. You never know. But it does feel like right now Florida fans are kind of lost. They don't know how to feel. I mean, they knew how to feel, and they've known how to feel most of the week. They've been very angry, and they're in that stage where they're, want everybody fired, and they're ticked off. And I get it. I understand why you are. This has not been what you thought it would be, but in a way, it is what you thought it might be. You know what I mean? Everybody said, "Oh, the Gators are going to take a step back," and then they did, and everybody's ticked off. The problem for Florida right now is when you think about it, what was the best win for the Gators so far this year? A loss against Alabama. That was their best win. What's their best play? What's their highlight play? Excuse me. Anthony Richardson's run against South Florida? Yeah, okay. South Florida. That was probably it. Or you could say Justin Shorter's catch against LSU, which ended up in a loss. It's just, this is a year where, you don't want to go back and watch games. And we've been through this for a while. We went through it with McElwain a little bit, with Muschamp a lot, and now going through it with this guy, which for a while there wasn't a problem. Seemed like he was really on top of things. We're going to see what he is, and look, it's very easy to say, well, we'll find out as we go down the rest of the season what kind of coach Dan Mullen is. Well, here's what kind of coach he is. He ain't beating Georgia, and he ain't going to lose any of the other games, or else he may be in trouble. Because the bottom line is Florida's schedule is set up really well, as is Georgia, as you know. But Florida's schedule is set up really well as well. It's set up well as well. But the bottom line, because you got this Georgia game, it's going to be a hard game. I trying to find a path for Florida to win. Maybe I'll have one by Monday of next week. But I don't have it right now. I'll say that. But if you can, whatever you do in that game, you're 4-4, and then the last 4 games are all very winnable. Not winnable, very winnable. You got 2 SEC games where the teams have won 1 SEC game between them. You got Samford, and you've got FSU at the end of the year, which is the kind of game where you get a little nervous now. You were not nervous 4 weeks ago about the FSU game. In fact, you would have bet money on a big spread. And it's not that FSU's gotten that good. They've gotten better. They're better than they were last year. Florida's still better than them. But right now, you're still a little bit nervous. So you go 8-4, you get to a decent bowl. You need to win the bowl game. There's still a lot of positive things that can happen from that aspect. But that's why you feel a little lost. You're sitting here going, kind of hoping we can get into that Outback Bowl this year. That's not the way you like to feel this time of year, and I get it. It is a weird climate within the Gator Nation. There's no doubt about it. Muschamp. I said Muschamp. Mullen, they got to quit having coaches with a M start of their name. What did we do? We went through Meyer, Mullen, McElwain, Muschamp. We've had them all. Anyway, so Mullen obviously has said many times he's evaluating things, but really, this is a week to recruit, and it's also a week to spend a little time and decompress a little bit. There's no doubt about that. That's what coaches do, and I get that. But he's going to reevaluate some things, but they're not going to change a whole lot. But I will evaluate some things, and here they are, and they're not good. They're not good at all. Florida right now is 121st in turnover margin, and this is a double-edged sword, and that's one of the 5 worst cliches you can ever use. But it's on both sides. They don't get turnovers. They don't get picks. They don't get fumbles. They never make anybody turn the ball over, and they turn it over all the time. So that's why Florida leads the nation. This is a big country. I've been through most of it. I've only about 2 states I haven't been to, maybe 3. It's big. Florida leads everybody in interceptions. Everybody. You can't go, we've got the team with the most interceptions here. No, you don't. It's Florida. Florida. Thanks to mostly for 9 for Emory Jones. And I started to look up some defensive stats. Florida is 74th in first downs allowed. Well, that's not good defense. They are 38th in total defense. And that's mediocre defense is what that is. You can say, well, halfway through 130 would be 65, right? That would be mediocre. No. This is big boy football. This is the SEC. We're not counting the, Charleston Southern and well, even they're not even Division I, but we're not counting those other teams. Okay, you're 38th. So that game may have skewed it in your minds, but the bottom line is they haven't played that good a defense this year. And that's why we're sitting here and nobody knows what to think about this team. Nobody knows how to get inspired. Well, the coaches have lit the fire. Dan Mullen's saying we're playing both quarterbacks. And a lot of Gator fans going, well, which one's starting? If I was him, I'd run them both back out there to start. I'd run Anthony Richardson as a wideout and Emory Jones as a quarterback. Whatever he wants to do, I don't even care anymore. I could sit here and tell you what he should do, but it's what he's the one who sees everything, and let him do what he wants to do. But your butt's hanging on the wire here. Now, you're not getting fired this year, but if you continue to be stubborn and it doesn't work out, you're the one who's going to pay the price. Not me. I can say whoever. Look at you guys all saw my terrible locks of the week. I didn't have to spend $1 for it. So good for me. So and meanwhile, Kirby Smart's saying we're going to play both quarterbacks. Here's the weird thing, because JT Daniels is, I guess, healthy enough now. That's what we heard last year before the game. I don't care. JT Daniels and Stetson Bennett are basically the same guy running the same offense. Anthony Richardson and Emory Jones are basically the same guy running the same offense. They have different skill sets, yes. They might run a play that's different, yes. But it doesn't matter. Look, I understand why coaches do this. It's what they do. It's what they do. But who cares who starts? Who cares who finishes? Who cares who has the most yards? It's all about finding a way to win the game. By the way, Florida, I saw the early odds. And again, I get – sometimes I think I get the odds too early and I kind of like get married to them. And then I'll say, yeah, they're a 3-point favorite. You go, nah, they're actually a 6-point underdog. Oh, it changed. But here's the early odds on Florida, Georgia that I saw on a really reliable site, that Georgia's a 14-point favorite. Jeff Cardozo was asking me on I think it was Wednesday, what I thought the spread would be on our show on the tailgate. And that's about what I thought it would be, 14. Neutral site, so you take away any of that, and we'll see how how a lot of people are going to bet that. I would imagine it could get bet up for Georgia, probably not down for Florida, unless, like, if on Tuesday, Dan Mullen comes out and goes, all right, Anthony Richardson's starting, Emory Jones in the transfer portal. Now, I would not wish that on Emory Jones, and that's mean. That is being really mean. But what if he did that? I think you would see the spread would change, because I think people, you've seen a lot of things like Michael Lombardi coming out going, this guy in 3 years is going to be could be the top draft pick. And I mean, I think he could be. There's a lot of things that could be in this world. Could be that Florida beats Georgia. Just got to wait and see how it all works out. So that was the other thing I was thinking about today. I'm sorry, I was looking at notes, and when you write them really this tiny, look how tiny that is. That's tiny. Sometimes it's hard to read them. The highlights, when you think about the highlights of this season, and I was asking somebody about this the other day. I go, what's Florida's best win this year? And it's a 2-point loss. That's their best win. And then you think about the best plays of the year. Anthony Richardson's 80-yard run against USF, and your voice kind of trails when you go USF. That was a big, and the shorter catch against LSU to me was tremendous. I like Justin Shorter a lot, but and that was in a loss. It's been a highlight-less season in a way especially when you compare it to last year's season. All right, we're going to bring in Andy Staples in just a minute. We've got our Adams Ribco to go. Gator of the week, of course, coming up. Leonardo's at Millhopper. Quick picks, only one person qualified, because I told you guys, I gave you what you thought was a layup, and it wasn't a layup. Coastal Carolina getting three against, or giving three against Appy State. I've been to Boone. I've been to that stadium. I know how hard it is to play there. Appy State comes up to win. Drew Barry was the only one who qualified. He's a past winner, by the way. And, by the way, Charlie Cowan, who won 2 weeks in a row. The first time I was really late getting to him, I still haven't gotten it to him. I'm mailing it tomorrow, Charlie. He lives in Lake City. Maybe he could just drive down here and get it. Anyway, we have the Hesser and Kipke games of the week and the hand law 3 things, all that coming up. Right now, we're going to take a break. Then we're going to come back with Andy Staples from The Athletic. Can't wait to talk to him about the state of Gator football, but the state of football all over the country.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Car accidents, trucking accidents, motorcycle accidents, and wrongful death. If injured or killed by the negligence of others, who will fight for the compensation you deserve? Shakow and Mercadante, 5 lawyers, more than 100 years of combined legal experience, millions in settlements and verdicts. Call Shakow and Mercadante, 371-3000. Rebuilding lives.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coaches Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from another Duly Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he has just opened up a place here, Adam Brewer to Go. What would give you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Rib Co. to Go. Come on down and enjoy it.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Spite Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Another Duly Noted podcast is sponsored in part by the Gainesville Quarterback Club, where they have unbelievable speakers every week during football season. It is an incredible club. It's just like being in a family. I go there every Saturday or every Tuesday. Sometimes I go there on Saturday and there's nobody there, but I go there every Tuesday. You should too. You should be part of it. It's good to be part of a community thing like this, as well as the unbelievable food and speakers and everything that goes on there. I highly recommend it. The Gainesville Quarterback Club. Please come and join. Okay, welcome back to another Duly Noted podcast, and it's a great pleasure to be joined in studio here at Steve Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and the Shakow and Mercadante studios by the great Andy Staples from The Athletic and, of course, Sirius Radio. I listen to him all the time. Not all the time, because he's not on all the time. But and, of course, read his great stuff on The Athletic. Highly recommend you guys get subscriptions to that, as I just re-upped the other day.
Very nice. We appreciate it.
Yeah. But it's really it's kind of interesting to see you and your background with the Gators. Now you got Gators.
I have never been this close to an Orlando Apollos helmet before. That's a pretty helmet. I like that.
It is. It's very everything about that was a really first class organization. It's kind of like with the Jacksonville Bulls, which I covered. They did things really right. Everybody else did. So the league had to go down.
Exactly.
And there was a certain guy that wanted it to go down for other reasons. But how you been lately? I mean, I know it's been a fun year kind of for us watching a little bit of chaos, but now we're right back with the 4 teams.
Are we though?
Well,
are we
maybe.
sure? Are we sure Alabama can beat Georgia?
No.
That's
No.
where it gets interesting.
So that knocks that one out.
Yeah, and so you got Cincinnati sitting there,
Yeah.
buoyed by Notre Dame, which keeps winning, even though. Should they be good enough to be 11-1? No, but might they finish 11-1? It is possible. And then
I'm not sure how. Yeah, I don't know how good.
and
the
then
team
Oregon,
is.
if Oregon just wins out,
Yeah.
because they lost their mulligan, they lost to Stanford. But if Oregon just wins out, they're in the playoff. And
Because they'll have that Ohio State.
right, but I don't know if they can win out. they might lose to UCLA this weekend. So
could.
there's a lot more going. It feels like there's more engagement and there's more teams kind of involved.
Right.
A lot of the reason is a lot of the teams in the Big Ten still have hope. They have not conceded to Ohio State yet. I'll tell you right now, Ohio State's going to win the Big Ten.
Yeah.
But if you're Michigan State, and you're still sitting there undefeated, you're not giving up yet. Penn State, you're not giving up yet. Iowa, you've lost once, but you're not giving up yet. So that's a lot of fan bases very engaged in what could happen this next month and a half.
And of course, there are a lot of fan bases that are right on a ledge with one toe over.
I wouldn't know about any of those.
Yeah, some of them may be in here right now.
I wouldn't get asked about those at the grocery store every day or at my kid's school or pretty much everywhere I go.
I don't know who's in more of a jar, whether it's the winning team from last week's game, LSU fans, or the losing team from last week's game.
LSU fans aren't in the jar. They're excited about whatever comes next.
Yeah, because they don't want that.
They're pumped. And now Florida got the business end of this. LSU has something that any team should be happy to have. Interim coach Ed Orgeron. He's the best interim coach in the history of interim coaches, except maybe Dabo.
He's gonna win out, you know.
Oh yeah, like that's why they did this, so he didn't have a chance to save his job.
And then we may not bring in another coach and just let you do it interim again.
If you could make him think he wasn't coming back,
That's right.
and just let him come back, then maybe you got something going.
Or go, hey Ed, you're married again. You know, we're gonna do that.
I mean, I don't know. It's weird. The Florida thing. I heard you and Matt Baker talking about this on Monday, and it's rough.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's rough.
The way they lost that game is right. And I said before the game, because I covered I have covered enough Florida LSU games to cover my bases going into one of them.
Right.
Even when you are sure what's going to happen, predict what happens on the other side of that.
Yeah.
Because weird things happen in that
It's
series.
crazy. It
And so I said, if LSU beats Florida, and it felt a little bit like last year's game where LSU had
Very
gotten
much
into the everybody who's gone doesn't want to be here, everybody who's here is all we got, and it galvanized them. It's exactly what happened.
Mm-hmm.
I said it was going to get weird in Gainesville if LSU won that game. It has felt very weird in Gainesville this week.
Yeah.
I mean,
No doubt.
everybody's looking at the trend lines, and now the fact that there's this week with no game makes it even crazier.
That's what I opened with. I said it feels Gator Nation. I think right now feels lost. Like they don't know what to do right now. They know they're not going to win next week. They don't like. They've almost gotten over their anger, but not quite.
No, they're not over it because they're not willing to accept that this is a program that's not designed to win national titles. That bothers them, and I understand why. They've won national titles.
And when you speak of program, you're talking about Dan Mullen's program. You're not talking about the University of Florida.
Right.
I mean, obviously they know how to win.
Right. When is the last time Florida got a recruit that everyone wanted?
Transfer portal.
I'm out of high school. Who was the last time that everybody in the country wanted a guy and he picked Florida?
We'll go with Kwame Brown.
No, there's been one more recently than that. His name was Percy Harvin. But the thing is, and I would say there were guys in the 07 class, Joe Hayden probably fit that bill. And
Dunlap might have been.
Yeah, and some of the guys Muschamp signed would fit that bill as well. But not since.
No.
And you have to have that. You have to. So I was thinking about this as I was driving over here. Is Dan Mullen Mark Richt?
Exactly. That's
Because
what
Mark Richt was not a bad coach at Georgia.
No.
He was a very good coach at Georgia.
He called that hobnail boot play.
I was there. I was covering Tennessee at the time. David Green hiding the ball better than anybody's ever hid the ball before on a play fake. But yeah, I mean, it feels similar, though I would argue that Richt could bring in more talent, was not as great a strategic guy. And the Fatan Bafta thing obviously was
that was
the final curtain call.
But the players he left behind were the ones that Kirby was one play away from.
Sony Michel, Nick Chubb. Yeah, exactly. And so I think that's the issue. And you know, somebody sent me a clip from the LSU game as one of the 14 counter plays LSU ran in a row. And It was what your friendly neighborhood offensive line coach would call a hat on a hat. Basically, every single player for Florida getting obliterated in their one-on-one matchup.
Well, the answer is to have more than one player in there, or one more player than they have.
Derek Dooley tried that. He tried to play 13 against LSU. It didn't work. No. It's not to have one more player. That's not the answer. You have to win those. Your players have to be better than the other team's players at certain positions if you ever hope to win.
This goes back to technique, too.
It's
not just want to, but technique,
it's
too.
It's not just technique. It's
well, you got to take that inside shoulder. You can't just always be trying to sack the quarterback at every play. Especially a team that throws 14 times in a
one guy.
game.
Okay, the entire
But that's the guy.
the entire
focusing
front got dominated play after play after play after play. Remember, LSU couldn't block anyone in the run game until the second half of the Kentucky game, which, by the way, was well in hand and Kentucky taking its foot off the throttle. So that is a bad sign. Like, UCLA's defensive line annihilated LSU's offensive line.
Pushed them around. Yeah.
UCLA's defensive line would not succeed in the SEC. So that's what you've got right now. And everybody wants Todd Grantham fired. And they say, well, we'll call something different. You can't call anything different when you are getting physically dominated on every play. I mean, you can, but you'll just get more physically dominated. Now, here's the part, because you always defend Todd Grantham. No. The players that they have on the roster, also Todd Grantham's responsibility.
Yes.
Like, recruiting's part of the job. And I will extend that to the head coach as well. Recruiting is part of the job. You can coach him up on Saturday or, Monday through Saturday, all you want. If you don't have the ingredients, the dish is not going to taste as good.
In the fourth year of your program, if your starting middle linebacker gets hurt, you should not have anybody, and you have nobody to replace him. That's not good.
And, of course, they had a big decommitment this week, and we'll see what happens with the recruiting process and if they can land a few more guys before signing day. I heard you talking to Matt Baker about this. I do agree with Matt that Dan Mullen should be able to make some hay in the portal because he is a good X's and O's coach.
Yeah.
They have proven they can develop talent. And so I think there will be guys who look at this and say, well, I could come make them better. And especially if they know they're going to be playing with 15.
Yeah.
If Anthony Richardson's the starting quarterback,
there
are a lot of people that would be excited to come play with him.
And that's the thing. When do you, I mean, I know when you might do it, and I know when the fans might do it, but when do you think Dan does it?
I would assume he runs him out there in Jacksonville, and he's the starter. Now, if I'm Dan Mullen, I would not announce him as the starter.
No.
There's no reason to do that now. Yeah. But no, you run him out there because he gives you the best chance to beat Georgia. And the whole point is to win the games. He gives you the best chance to win.
I said this on Frangie's show the other day. I said, if Emory Jones runs out there, there'll be one side of the field cheering and one side booing. But it'll be the opposite of what
and look, let's be perfectly honest. Dan Mullen's dealing with something that other coaches around the country are also dealing with that's new to them.
Yep.
The transfer rules have changed, okay? One of these guys is leaving at the end of this year. I've heard people say, well, wouldn't Emory want to stay, or wouldn't Anthony just want to stay? No. Anthony Richardson would start for 125 different programs next year if he would put his name in the portal. So
and let me tell you what, Emory Jones is start for 50 or 60.
Oh, more than that. But the problem is it's more for Anthony, so that's the one you want to keep.
Yeah.
So you've got to figure out how to keep him through the end of the season. Now, I don't think there's any incentive to leave midseason for either person. And I have heard, people worry about, well, if you bench this guy, then he's just going to leave. Why? Why would he leave?
Where are you going?
He doesn't need to go anywhere till December.
Yeah.
He can go somewhere before the bowl game probably. But what's the point of leaving? He can't go play somewhere right now. He can't try to win a job right now. That doesn't happen until spring practice. So that's not really
and they seem to be pretty close. The two guys. It's not like
they get along.
There's not a lot of animosity there.
Yeah, I mean, they understand. And players understand this stuff. They do. And that's why if they make the move and Anthony's the starting quarterback, I'm sure Emory Jones won't like it, but he seems like a pretty upstanding dude. Like, he'll get it. Athletes every day you get judged. Every day there's a first string and a second string. Like, when they call out the ones, if you're told not to go out with the ones, you're being judged. They're used to it. So I don't think that's as big of a concern. You know, the situation after the season will have to be managed, but you're just going to have to pick one. And the one you need to pick, it looks pretty obvious.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it does. It does. And I do get what Dan was trying to do. He was trying to he felt like Emery was a guy that could get them to this.
Well,
point.
let's also not forget that Anthony got hurt after the second game.
That was
So
a big factor too.
you couldn't start him against Alabama, and you could not start him against Tennessee, probably. So
I
that
don't think he would have anyway.
right,
Yeah.
but that delayed the inevitable.
Sure, it did.
So, but the thing is, you can't keep saying, "Well, he doesn't handle the whole offense as well," when you just saw him running the whole offense against LSU,
Or change the
or enough of the offense to show. And look, I don't want to put all of that on Anthony Richardson. He's not perfect. He threw 2 picks in that game. So
Bad picks, too.
yeah, it's not that he is the obvious savior that if you put him in, then suddenly Florida can beat Georgia. But he gives them the best chance. How do you close?
He may give them the only chance.
Right, Georgia and Florida have a talent gap. That
No doubt.
You
Yeah.
can make fun of 1980 all you want. They have better players. Period. The only way you close a talent gap, other than just getting better players, which you can't do right now, is a special quarterback.
Right.
Florida
Which is what they did
has a special quarterback.
with not only Trask, but with Pitts and Tony and guys like
Right,
that.
right.
I know
Pitts and Tony
Pitts
are-
was lost to Hurst, but he had already done special things.
Yes, Pitts and
in that
Tony
game.
were first-round draft
Yeah.
picks. Now, I don't think anything that happened in the Georgia game last year is of any consequence to what happens this year. Georgia's defense was so banged up. Poor Monty Rice trying to cover that wheel route with one leg. Like, that ain't going to happen.
Well, Jordan Davis was to me the big one.
Georgia's now got 3 guys who could play that position
Right.
effectively that are healthy. Like, it's not going to work that way. It won't be like that.
No, it won't. And I've said this, and you may or may not disagree with me, but Georgia picked the perfect year to have what may be the best team in its school history, because of what when you look at what everybody else seems to be not quite. Now, I will say this: Alabama. You never know; they may be getting better.
The thing about Alabama, well, the thing about Alabama is Alabama has so many good players on their roster that it may just take some young guys getting seasoning by the end of through the end of the season to become a completely different team than the one you saw in the swamp earlier this season. Ohio State's kind of the same way.
Georgia's got no games left after Florida, which is barely a game.
Yep.
But I mean, they're 14-point favorites already, and it's only going to go up, I think. But that's the good thing for them is they aren't going to get tested.
I think it's good for Florida that everybody's just writing them off in this game, though.
Yeah,
I really do. I think,
including me.
I think Florida may challenge Georgia more than people realize because they are going to put mentally all their eggs in this basket.
Absolutely.
Because what other games are there to be excited about after that?
Well, what other games are there to be excited about this week? Because there's not hardly anything. I don't know how
LSU Ole Miss, baby.
LSU Ole Miss really is going to be the highlight of my day, I would think.
I think Oregon UCLA is going to be interesting because, again, Oregon could be knocked from the playoff race in that one.
No, I'm trying to get excited.
How about Pitt Clemson?
That one.
Pitt is favored against Clemson. In what universe do we live in that Pitt is favored against Clemson?
I don't know, but the trouble is when you kind of get, and this is where I think
I don't think they're going to make the ACC championship game, so I don't know what else happens there. But it is there would be a lot more engagement with a 12-team playoff because Ole Miss is still in it. Now, there's an outside chance Ole Miss is still in it. What if Ole Miss is 11-1?
I've thought about that, yeah.
I don't think they will be. I just don't think they run the table. But that would be intriguing. I don't think an 11-1 Ole Miss with Alabama not making the playoff that destroyed Ole Miss.
Who do they have left?
Well, LSU, Texas A&M, Mississippi State.
They could beat them all.
They could beat them all, and they could lose to them all.
Yes.
And that's the tricky part. So there's that. But
A lot depends
with
on
the
Matt
12-team
Corral's
playoff,
stuff,
think
too.
about how many teams in the Big Ten would still be in the hunt right now.
I know.
Right? Michigan, Michigan State, Ohio State, Iowa, probably 2 or 3 of those, or probably 3 of those are making the playoff in a
Right.
12-teamer.
Yeah, and I it's funny when all this stuff went down, and then I was so excited because to me it's about me. It's
Of
about
course.
more games for me to watch.
Of course.
That's what it's about. And then as as we got further into this, and I had Greg Sankey on last week, and he was saying, again, he wants 4, but
He doesn't want 4. He wants
well,
12.
I know, but he said so I worry that it won't get to 12. But my gut is it's still going to be at the end of the contract. It's not going to be any earlier. I think we all
Well,
got
because
excited.
they've delayed
yeah.
it because a bunch of people got their feelings hurt and then
Right,
acted against
right.
their own best interests. Like, if you're the Pac-12, you're stupid for not expanding the playoff. If you're the Big 12, you're stupid for not expanding the playoff. Like, it is not I'm not being harsh. That's just realistic. You are stupid if you act against your own best interests. You can have a team in if you accept this plan.
Petty is what it is.
Or not if
Yeah.
you don't. It's pretty simple.
Yeah. It's out of spite for more than anything. It's like,
No, it's hurt feelings.
yes.
That's all it is you hurt my feelings by making the move that I would have made in the same position, and I will punish you, except here's the problem. It doesn't actually punish the SEC. The SEC's fine with 4. The SEC and the Big Ten are the only people that should be perfectly cool with 4.
When I had Sankey on last week, the one question I didn't ask him, I was going to ask him, and I forgot to ask him, who called you first, Texas or Oklahoma? Or was it just like conference call directly to Sankey, to the bat phone?
I would love if that was the case, if Joe Castiglione from Oklahoma started talking first, or maybe it was the presidents, I don't know. And then Chris Delcani from Texas is like, hey, I'm on the call too.
That's right. Yeah, surprise, Greg.
Yeah, that's one secret that has still been pretty closely guarded is exactly how and when, and it may be a while before we get an answer to that. But yeah, here's the thing: they were going to leave the Big 12. The Big 12, they were tired of carrying it. They wanted to be in a position where they were not the only big dogs in the conference, where the whole conference's economic ecosystem didn't revolve around them
Right.
and rely on them.
Right.
So you could go to the Big Ten, the ACC, or the SEC. I think the Big Ten would be out for Texas because you can't fold the Longhorn Network into the Big Ten Network because Big Ten Network is run by Fox. Longhorn Network is an ESPN contract that runs, into the next decade. So the only places they really had a choice to go were the ACC and the SEC, and they picked the SEC. And the ACC would have taken them gladly.
Absolutely.
So any talk from the ACC about, we wouldn't have done it. Yeah, you would have.
It's against our principles.
Yeah, you don't have any principles. We've already seen how you rated everybody else. So
That's right.
then that's the thing. I love how these guys are like, it's not professional to rate another conference, says Bob Bowlesby, who has rated multiple other conferences. Like, you all do it. It's just business. Get over it.
I think the SEC, or not the SEC, but college football probably is more like politics than anywhere in the world because in this country, because they'll go, no, we would never bomb Iran. Well, we bombed Iran today, but whatever they say, like going back to the great Bill Hancock, who's a great guy.
Nice guy.
Great guy.
Paid to say whatever, says whatever he's paid to say.
We don't want a playoff. All right, we want a playoff.
Yeah.
We know that's all the playoff we want. Now we want more playoff. Well, maybe we may not want more playoff. I can't decide what it is. All right, last thing before I let you go, wrote a column for the Alumni Magazine about why, because I thought about this obviously, why in the SEC fans down here take it so personally when you lose a game. More so than any other place. They take it ruins them.
Because there are so few games.
Yes.
One, and two, this is their favorite sports team.
Yes.
And I'm not saying just Florida fans or just if you ask an LSU fan, an Alabama fan, an Auburn fan, a Georgia fan, a Florida fan, a Tennessee fan, an Ole Miss fan, what is your favorite team? Like if you were going to wrap your identity in one of the sports teams you like.
I'm not gonna say the Braves.
No, your avatar on Twitter is going to be your college team. Your bumper sticker is going to be your college team. The flag in front of your house is going to be your college team. They don't care that much about the Braves. They don't care that much about the Saints. They love the Braves and the Saints, but it's not the same thing. LSU fans love the Saints. They live and die with the Tigers. Tigers.
All right, the great Andy Staples. So good to have you in here. So, very good treat for people who watch the Another Duly Noted podcast, and I appreciate him being here. We'll take a break. We have to get to the Adams Ribco to go Gator of the week. Leonardo's at Millhopper Quick Picks, Hesser and Kipke games of the weekend, and Handlaw 3 things. All that and more coming up right after we take this break. Thanks, Andy.
Car accidents, trucking accidents, motorcycle accidents, and wrongful death. If injured or killed by the negligence of others, who will fight for the compensation you deserve? Shakow and Mercadante, 5 lawyers, more than 100 years of combined legal experience, millions in settlements and verdicts. Call Shakow and Mercadante, 371-3000. Rebuilding lives.
Titan MRI, North Central Florida's premier independent diagnostic testing MRI facility. At Titan MRI, we're focused on you, the patient, having a great customer experience. Our MRI equipment is modern and 75% quieter than any unit in its class. And our MRI unit has one of the largest openings of any of the newer high-strength MRI units, which allows comfortable scanning for potential claustrophobic and larger patients. At Titan MRI, we look forward to serving you.
Another duly noted podcast comes to you from the Coach's Podcast Room at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Celebration Point. You can watch and listen to us on Facebook and YouTube for every podcast that we do on Mondays and Fridays at 2 o'clock. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Overcast, any of the other 39 platforms where you can find this podcast or your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comments section below or call me if you want to do some advertising at 352-317-3444. Another Duly Noted podcast is sponsored in part by the Gainesville Quarterback Club, where they have unbelievable speakers every week during football season. It is an incredible club. It's just like being in a family. I go there every Saturday or every Tuesday. Sometimes I go there on Saturday and there's nobody there, but I go there every Tuesday. You should too. You should be part of it. It's good to be part of a community thing like this, as well as the unbelievable food and speakers and everything that goes on there. I highly recommend it. The Gainesville Quarterback Club. Please come and join.
Great food, great atmosphere, a diverse menu, everything made from scratch, plenty of space, and locally owned. These are all the characteristics of a great restaurant, and you can find each and every one of them right here in Gainesville at Ballyhoo Grill. Ballyhoo Grill prepares all of their food fresh every day, from their salad dressing to their award-winning soups. Bring your family and enjoy dinner under the Tim Trebo Tiki Hut while listening to live music. Or if you're running low on time to eat out, they also deliver through Uber Eats, Fight Squad, and Postmates. A Gainesville staple that's been open for over 30 years. Check out Ballyhoo Grill on Facebook or at ballyhoogrill.com.
Hello there, everybody. I'm Pat Dooley, of course, from Another Duly Noted podcast. And this is a great Adam Brewer, and he's just opened up a place here, Adam Ribco to go. What gave you the idea to do this, to have a to-go place like this?
We really like the fast concept, being able to get the barbecue. Now we have this new online ordering. So before it was a call ahead carry out, quick service. We have like a curbside kind of a deal where everything's ready to go for you. And then we thought, wow, we have a really great dine-in concept, but how can we make this streamlined for the customer and make it easy and accessible for all parts of town?
Adam's Ribco to go. Come on down and enjoy it. Okay, welcome back in. Appreciate Andy Staples for doing that. I mean, we were going to have him on the Zoom, and he said, "Hey, I'm going to be right out in the area. Why don't you stop by Spurrier's and stop by the Shakow and Mercadante studios and do the show?" And that was great. Good stuff, man. Guy's really smart. He really knows what he's talking about. All right, it is time for us to do our stuff, the fun stuff we like to do here. And thanks to all of our great sponsors. We still have one opening for a sponsor if you want to get in. I'm just here. All right, we'll start out with our Adams Ribco to go Gator of the week. And, it's funny, when we started doing this, we've had to work for it a little bit every once in a while because either something didn't go right, or they just, we had the summer, we did the Mount Rushmore, which is kind of cool. But one thing I thought is when we get to football season, even though it just be the Gator football players on Saturday, during the week, you would always have volleyball and soccer. Well, soccer's not very good. They lost again. I know they had a great comeback against Georgia, couldn't quite pull it off. Volleyball struggled too. So I actually went out on a limb, a little bit of a limb here today. Our Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Week is Fred Biondi, who is on the Florida golf team. And the reason is we played Tuesday in the quarterback club, Gainesville Quarterback Club tournament, which was such a blast. Had so much fun. Should have won, but didn't. Choked a little bit. But as I'm leaving, the team is arriving, and I talked to Dudley Hart and to Coach Deacon about how they did down there, and they played their last fall tournament. Again, fall tournaments are to get better, and he played. It felt like the light went on for Fred. So he shot 67 in the last round. Now I know that Yuxin Lin did finish ahead of him, but he finished 10th, I think, and I think Fred was 13, tied for 13th. So, but I'm going to give it to him because here's a guy. I'm going to encourage him. We got to quit discouraging all the Gator athletes over around here. I'm going to encourage Fred Biondi to try to get over the hump and do better because he's now the Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Week. I'll buy him a rib. Oh, I don't know. Can I do that? Maybe. Yeah, with NIL, I can borrow. I'll buy him many ribs if he wants. All right, so that is our Adams Ribco to Go Gator of the Week here from the Shaq Howell Mercandani Studios on another Dooley Noted podcast presented by Titan MRI. Next up, our Hand Law 3 Things. 3 Things is presented by Hand Law, Florida law firm which helps clients with government. You can learn more about Hand Law by visiting its website at www.hand.law. The firm is available for consultation in Jacksonville. It almost seemed like we knew what we were doing right there, didn't it? We actually have it up on the screen. I can read it instead of pulling out a newspaper and everything and all that. All right, Hand Law. 3 things. Number 1, it's not over. It's not over. Now, I'm not sitting here thinking, well, the Braves are going home and they're going to at least win it at home. Last night was disappointing. But look, the Dodgers are so good. The Dodgers, it's an all-star after all-star after all-star after all-star in their lineup. And you just go, how can we get through it? And they've done a great job. They're up 3-2. The Braves are up 3-2. We go home. That's not that great a deal. The Braves' record on the road was better than it was at home, and it's by a fairly wide margin. And this was a fully stacked Fulton County Stadium. I'm nervous. I'm scared about it. As a Braves fan, of course, the Red Sox, I'm also like the Red Sox, and don't think that's got much of a chance of happening. But, it has been unbelievable to watch this happen. The 2 walk-offs Saturday, Sunday, the win. And the funny thing is to me, and the crazy thing, and sometimes I divorce myself from the media momentarily, is the media people who, of course, after the Dodgers lost Game 4, when the Braves handled them very nicely, said, oh, the Dodgers are tired. They're tired. They've had a bunch of injuries. They're worn out. They had a tough series. They had a tough pennant race with San Francisco. Then they had to beat them in a very difficult, obviously, division series. And they're just tired. They're too tired. Of course, now they win last night and they go, Dodgers are back. Stop it. I have no idea who's going to win that race or that playoff. I hope it's the Braves. It would be great. I would love to be back in the World Series for the first time since 1999. But it's not over. And for the life of me, is it for the life of me or for the love of me? Anyway, for something, life of me, love of me. All you fans, all you Here I go again. All you media people. It's mostly Fox, I know, TBS, whatever, whoever's showing the games. I have to find it every night. Showing the Dodger fans leaving the stadium in the 8th inning. This has been going on since they moved to Los Angeles, okay? Don't act like this is something new and I can't believe they're leaving. It's been going on forever. You know why? Have you ever been to Los Angeles? I have, many times, including just last summer. You can't get anywhere fast. If you leave the stadium early, you might get home in time to go to bed. You probably aren't going to see the end of the game, but you can listen to it. I get it. But it's not like sit here and go, oh my God, I can't believe these people. These fans have been leaving early forever. It's an LA thing. They go to the 405, they go to the Slauson cutoff, and they get there. Stop. I don't want to see that anymore. Well, I won't have to, unless I watch the World Series, which if the Braves aren't in it, I'm not watching. All right. That is number one on Hand Law's 3 things. Number 2. The AAC made their dramatic announcement this weekend. They came up with the teams they wanted to add. What a list of teams. Florida Atlantic, UAB, Charlotte. Happy for Mike Hill on that. Not trying to downgrade Charlotte, but until 5 years ago, nobody knew Charlotte was even playing football. North Texas, not Texas State, home of the Armadillos. North Texas. UTSA, which a lot of you cannot tell me what that stands for. Freddie DeCordova, can you give it to me? University of Texas, San Antonio. Okay. Rice, and those are the teams they had. They have now 4 teams in Texas. And that's where their offices have moved to, and to which I respond, don't care. Please do not allow a conference champion from this conference automatically in. I'm not saying you won't have teams good enough to get in, but you lost your good teams and you replaced them with nothing teams. I understand. You got to do it. This is the kind of thing you have to do. I get it. And there's nothing wrong with these schools. Like I just said, I'm so happy for Mike Hill, who's the athletic director at Charlotte, who was here for so long, a good friend of mine. Happy for him. I'm going to text him later. But that didn't really move the needle at all. Finally, number 3, Florida announced its softball schedule today. And right away, I marked it down. April 8th through 10th, Florida, home, Alabama. Those are always fun games. The atmospheres are great. So as a result of this, we're getting close. We're about to do it. We'll probably do it this week. We'll probably announce it on another Dooley Noted podcast to announcing when our golf tournament's going to be. It's going to be a little bit earlier, I think. I'm leaning towards even earlier than we've had it. But we cannot wait for it. We just, playing in the playing in the quarterback club tournament, sponsor of this show, the other day, made me kind of get the juices flowing for our tournament. The Bob Dooley Invitational will be our 27th year. And actually, I'm playing next weekend in the Stop Children's Cancer Tournament. So, now, look, don't act like, oh, you got it made. All you do is play in golf tournaments. I am in golf tournaments. The playing is the problem. Believe me, the game has gone down the hill. All right, that is Hand Law 3 things. We appreciate Chris Hand so much here in the Shackhouse Mercandani Studios. Let us get to the Leonardos at Millhopper quick picks. Only one of you picked Appy State, and that was Drew Barry. I'm telling you, I give you these games because I think they're going to be interesting. So we're going to give you one game this weekend with the Gators off, and it's a beauty. UMass getting 35.5 at FSU. I don't know where I'd go with that. I think UMass is really bad. You might want to take FSU. I think they're really, really bad. But so is FSU. So that's our Leonardos and Millhopper quick picks. I'll try to get that up on the web a little bit later. We've got a couple of YouTube comments we want to get to. Dan Fitzgerald, the way the Gators are playing this season somewhat makes me wish that Chip Kelly would have taken the head coaching position instead of Dan Mullen. Well, look, here's the thing. I know he didn't inherit a great situation out there at UCLA, and he seems to get them have them going a little bit. He beat LSU this year. Florida hadn't in 3 years. But I still think, in my mind, I'm not saying Dan Mullen was a great hire, the perfect hire, but I think he was a good hire. I don't think Chip Kelly would have worked here. He's exactly what Florida didn't need, especially after the previous coach. You know, and when he told Scott Strickland one company said, "I don't want to be the governor of Florida," and they're like, "What? You know, you want to be the governor of Florida. You want to be, well, not the governor, but you want to be the biggest name in the state of Florida." He didn't want that. He wanted to go somewhere. You know, you think anybody's talking about UCLA football right now? We're talking about the Dodgers and the Rams and the Lakers. They don't. Oh, UCLA plays this week? That's what he wants. But and don't forget, he was really bad his first couple of years. So no, I don't. It would have been interesting. Would have been interesting. Also, in the last 10 games U.S. has played, I can't point to a single complete gameplay. Well, they played all their games all the way to 60 minutes. So there were many complete games. We even stumbled through beating FAU, USF, and Vandy. The painful truth is we're not that good a team right now. You are absolutely right, Andrew. Andrew Baku or Andrew Beku or Andrew Bakua, whatever it is. Andrew Biko. That's what they are. They're not a very good team. That's what I have had to accept. And so in some ways I was dead wrong about a lot of things, but they're just not very good, and they got to figure it out. All right, finally today, and we always love doing this, Hester and Kipke's Games of the Week. Of course, we do this every Friday, and of course Monday, Hester and Kipke brings you the Monday spread, so we look forward to that. They are brought to you by Hester and Kipke, a law firm based in Hale Plantation specializing in employment, workers' comp, and even family law. I mean, there's no word even in there. Do you even see the word even in there? No. And family law. I don't know why it came out of me like that. Visit their website at www.hklawfl.com or call Ken and Jennifer at 352-339-9920. These are the games of the week, and it's not a great weekend this weekend, but it's still college football, and we'll find a way to enjoy it. Best game in the state to me, is one I will be watching, NC State at Miami. NC State is a 3.5-point favorite in that game. Miami actually opened as a favorite. Interesting to watch. NC State's got a chance to kind of make some noise still. I mean, they're not out of the playoff mix, but they're not really in it. Miami 2-4 right now. It'll be interesting. The SEC game, Andy mentioned it when he was in here. LSU get 9 points at Ole Miss. Interesting. I think it's going to be a fascinating game. LSU might do what you thought they were going to do last week and just poop the bed totally. And Mississippi blows them out. I would not be surprised at that. Or it could be a good game. Either way, I'll take it. The national game to me is Oklahoma State at Iowa State, where Iowa State's a 7-point favorite at home, which seems a little high for me. But that is the national game to me, and that's, again, shows you what – it's not a great weekend. Under the radar game, Wisconsin at Purdue. I'm fascinated. Purdue is now ranked, so we'll see how they handle that. Wisconsin, are they going to be able to salvage their season? I did want to give the spread for the Penn State-Illinois game for Ken Hesser, our sponsor. 23.5. Illinois is underdog. I wouldn't touch that game. I'd stay away from that game. Also, 25 now. Tennessee is an underdog to Alabama. Clemson now, still, as we mentioned earlier, 3.5 point favorite, or actually underdog to Pitt. Amazing. That is the one game. The 3:30 games are really good. The night games aren't great and barely watchable. The noon games are awful today, or tomorrow, I should say. So maybe I'll just take my wife out for brunch. How about that? That's going to do it for the show today. Appreciate my great producer, Evan, or as I call him, Freddie DeCordova. And, of course, Andy Staples for coming into studio. That was cool. a lot of fun. We will be back Monday. Our guest Monday will be Robbie Andrew, the great Robbie Andrew. Friday we'll have Kyle Jackson. Kyle Jackson, of course, great player on the national championship team, safety, and well, I've talked to him a little bit about what's going on with the Gators, so we'll talk to him a little bit about that. And, of course, he's from Jacksonville, lives in Jacksonville now. He's a chiropractor, so he knows about the Florida-Georgia game probably as much as anybody. We'll have him on Friday, and then Mike Bianchi Monday, and we'll just keep him going. We'll get out of here, though, until next time, until Monday. I am Pat Dooley. I am deep way back, and I am out of here.